I think we're going to have to go back and find more savings. And look, let's get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse first. And I think we can always debate what we should spend money on, but there should be no debate on fraud, waste, and abuse. In the Medicare system, look, there's no incentive for the states not to expand it. When the states are paying, three cents out of the dollar, I mean, out of a dollar, the states are paying three bucks. So we're going to have to make sure we enjoin the states. They have to have some incentive to hold the costs.
Federal government owns 640 million acres of land, or 28% of all of the land in the United States. Most of that is out west.
Out west.
Most of that is out west in places like your beloved Montana. Some people said it's time we got to sell some of that land to pay for the spending that we want. You said no, and you and your fellow Westerners were effective in getting that redlined out of this package. Why shouldn't the government sell off some of this land to give it back to taxpayers?
Look, I understand the frustration out there. If you're living in a community, you're surrounded by federal lands, and you don't have access, no more multiple use, roads are getting shut down, we live in a sea of trees and you can't cut one of them, there's mining opportunities, but it's kind of like, I give an analogy of a hotel. If you have really bad management in a hotel, you don't sell the hotel. What you do is you get new management. And I do agree. There's, smallest area compatible around communities that are locked in, for highest and best use. We do land exchanges to make sure that we promote.
And when you were Interior
access.
Secretary, this is stuff that you paid attention to, and so you're not. This is not new territory for you.
Well,
pun intended.
In a lot of the West too, you have to be really sensitive to the Native Americans, right? Yeah. You have to go in consultation because a lot of these areas do have cultural backgrounds into it. But there's a process.
Yeah.
Generally for public interest, we're talking, in housing, affordable housing. Look, affordable housing is an apartment complex,
right,
which is, in a few acreage. And around Las Vegas, it's called SNPLMA, terrible acronym. But we do, every year we let a few acres go. And when I was secretary, we let a couple thousand acres go. Now, those are high-priced acres.
Right.
But to think you're going to pay the debt off, let's say in rural Nevada.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Washoe County is not going to pay the debt.
Google, best ranches for sale in Nevada. There's a 1 million acre ranch. Yeah. 1 million acres, of what 600 is free. Yeah. Free title. It means it's private title.
Right.
So they want $37 million. So you go $37 million divided by 600 acres. Hey, that's $67 an acre. That's not going to get us out.
Not going to feed the bulldog.
I would say we don't have a land problem. We have a spending problem.
So on the spending problem, the Medicaid deal says that the work requirements that would be popular with a lot of people wouldn't go into effect until 2029. Now, you've been in Congress long enough to know that when you say we will gladly take the revenue today for a spending cut that will happen after Donald Trump leaves office, what's Congress going to do in 2029? They're going to say, well, we can't let these cuts go into effect. We have to block them. We watched it happen with the doc fix from the Clinton era. It happens again and again. When the hard choice comes later, Congress doesn't do it.
Well, to your point, I'll go back to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9. No money should be removed from the Treasury unless by consequence of appropriations.
Right.
So how much, I said on appropriations, how much of the budget do we actually appropriate?
Right.
Appropriations, less than 30%.
Right.
So there's 3 ships we know that are sinking: Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security.
Right.
Social Security is off the table for reconciliation.
Right.
But you got to look at the fraud, waste, and abuse. When Medicare Advantage is paying for ski trips.
Right.
Enough's enough.
But do you think in 2029 they're really going to let these cuts go into effect?
Well, if not now, when? I've heard this.
But if not now, why 2020?
Well, I've heard this before. We have midterms. We have presidential.
Right, exactly.
Congress is so good at punting.
Right.
Now it's time to actually take action because we have to pay attention to our debt.
So if you're in Congress in 2029, you will not vote to suspend these cuts. You'll let them go into effect.
I think we need to go into effect sooner rather than later.
But you wouldn't let that kill your support for this bill. You'd vote for this bill even though it's got the delay.
Well, I think where we're at is this.
Okay.
I don't think it's ready yet.
Okay.
So it didn't make it out of the budget committee, and I don't think it'll make it out of the floor because then you got to go back to a basic balance sheet. And we were told over and over again, budget neutral, debt neutral, all these type of terms. Look, find the savings. Be courageous and find the savings.